Hello and welcome to the From the Finney podcast with me, Jake.
Me, Dan.
And me, Jimmy.
In this episode we'll be discussing Saturday's defeat to Reading, the performances of certain players, and we'll be looking ahead to two tough games in the week ahead. Hi lads, how are we? We good? Jimmy, thanks for standing in.
Well, thanks for having me on again. It wasn't good yesterday, was it? Let's be honest.
No, not at all. I actually, all I've seen is Rudd's howler for the goal. I've literally seen nothing else. I was out with a couple of friends yesterday, pretty early on, not even before the footy had finished. So I didn't even realise we'd lost until about 6 o'clock.
Oh, God. Oh, so my reaction would have been the first thing you saw, pretty much.
Pretty much. Like I said, my head was up my arse yesterday, and I was out with a couple of mates, which is why I was just like, nope, I'm not having this. I'm muting the Facebook group. See you later.
Yeah, it was a long drive home, to say the least.
Yeah, I was going to say you drove down, didn't you?
Yeah, what a stupid idea that was.
Anything that I look at away games and I think if it's 2 hours or more, I'm not doing it. That's my cut off.
See, my thought was this curse at Reading has got to end somewhere. So yeah. I think I've been 5, maybe 6 times now, and I don't think I've seen us win once. I think I've seen us get a draw once on a Tuesday night years ago. Alex McCarthy went net for Reading. I think it was a draw. It was the season went down. I think that's the last time I've seen us pick up anything there.
Yeah, I think Ollie's pretty similar. I think he's been the last 4 times, Dan? He said he'd been or something like that.
I think he's been 4 of the last 5.
Never seen us win.
Yeah.
And we were saying to him in the Facebook group, we were like, I think it's about time to not go.
Yeah, it's now on the list. It's now on the list for Swansea. It's I had Swansea on the list of never going again, and now Reading's just joined it. So
yeah. One of mine for that is Barnsley at home. We always lose 2-1 when I see us play Barnsley at home.
You missed a treat the other week.
Yeah, we did.
I think I'm similar to that. I remember being away the last time we played Barnsley and we got beat. And obviously I was on a plane when we beat them 5-1, so probably need to go away every time we play them.
I was going to say there's worse things to be doing.
Oh yeah, I know. But...
yeah, Reading away. I think the international break curse strikes again. Although saying that, as you've got in your notes, Dan, is it the international break or is it just Reading away?
Reading away, or indeed the curse of Declan Rice. You can take your pick.
Well, yeah.
It's a funny one, isn't it, really? I mean, Ollie's just put something on, hasn't he, about we've only won twice out of last 10 after an international break?
Yeah, just seen that on Deep Dive Digest.
Yeah, I didn't know the record was that bad because I thought, I know someone mentioned it out of the ground yesterday, and I was like, we beat Brentford, back in September. I thought, it's not that bad, but then when you look at the start, it's like it is actually a bit of an issue, I think.
I had a look at the games for my match preview that I wrote on Thursday, I think it was, and I think barring the Brentford game,
last season it was only the Blackburn win.
It was just a Blackburn game last season, yeah, not a particularly good return, to be honest.
Is it just momentum? Because obviously, we've been on a bit of a crest of a wave, haven't we? And then it's like the break has come at the wrong time again, and then it just stops again. It just stops in the tracks more than anything.
I think that's what I'd put it down to. With the team that we've got, the squad that we've got, and the way that we play, or the way that we were playing in the build-up to the international break, I think when everything comes grinding to a halt like that, I think it is largely down to momentum.
There's definitely a sense of inertia when they get out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yesterday was a funny game because, the first 5 minutes, Reading didn't touch the ball. We just played keep ball, and we played at a decent tempo. And then, I don't know how or why, but they sort of woke up after 10, 15 minutes, and their energy was good. To be fair to them, it seems like they had a bit about them, seemingly they just sacked the manager. which I wasn't really expecting to have.
Yeah.
And I mean, they completely nullified our 3 centre midfielders. That number 14, I don't know his name. He had a bit of a funny name that I couldn't pronounce, but he was excellent. Ran the game for me.
Wasn't Oviajari, was it?
Possibly. Yeah, it was a similar name to that. But that might be worth looking at. But he was excellent. He plenty of energy about him, run with the ball. And the way they set up, it just completely countered Gally, Pearson, and DJ. DJ just could not get into the game yesterday.
Yeah, Oviajari.
You were good. It was impressive him.
He's Liverpool kid, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on loan. I think they've either got a deal in place to buy him in the summer, or they've got an obligation to buy him in the summer. Again, this is from what I was reading about in preparation for writing my match preview. Good player though.
Yeah, you could tell he had something about him.
Mm.
But,
yeah, I got the impression listening to the commentary that it was very much a game of keep ball for the first 5 minutes, as you said, Jimmy. And then it seemed almost out of nowhere that they started to come into it a little bit.
You're not wrong. Honestly, it was strange, like their energy, and it just seemed to up the tempo all of a sudden. And it was like they were straight in our faces, and it's one of the first games I've seen us play where we just couldn't deal with another team's energy.
Yeah,
it was like watching us, the first sort of 10-15 games of Alex Neil's first season, when he was literally we were in the faces, playing at a really high tempo, and I suppose we just couldn't get near him. And it was every time we got the ball, we looked hurried. Apart from at fullback, when we seemed to have too much time. So Fisher and Hughes each were taking 3, 4, 5 touches and slowing the game down, and it was like, and that just let Reading get their shape back.
Yeah.
But I thought tactically it was a bit of a funny game yesterday. It was the 2 wide players in terms of Maguire and Barkhuizen, and that's the highest I've seen them play in terms of without the ball. But then obviously when they did get the ball, they went really quite narrow.
Yeah.
I've just seen there's something on Who Scored about their shape when they've actually got the ball, and you look at it, it's really narrow across the whole pitch, apart from Hughes and Fisher, who look like, I suppose, just very much pushed on fullbacks.
Yeah, or only real outlets, if you will.
Yeah, and whilst they did get quite a bit of the ball, they didn't actually do much with it. I mean, I'll come on to Fisher in a bit, but his crossing yesterday was abysmal. It was like exocet missiles across the box, but 7-8 foot in the air. Just, and if you do edit, you're not going to be able to have it on target.
Yeah,
so.
I think to concede in the way we did as well. From what I'd seen online, like I said, I was out sort of early on yesterday, so I didn't even listen to the last sort of 5-10 minutes of the game. But from what a few Reading fans were saying, was that it was our own time wasting that essentially led to the 7 minutes added time.
It was both.
Is that the case? Or?
No, not for me. I thought that both teams were at it. Both teams, you got to probably 70, 75 minutes, and neither team wanted to win, for me.
Yeah.
They were both quite happy with the point, and Reading's gamesmanship was just as bad as ours, and Fisher was up to his usual tricks, as we've probably all seen. In terms of Shithausen, he's probably up there with the best I've seen. Especially
we're quite used to it now, aren't we?
Yeah, and I mean, you got is it a Beaker or a Beater? You got him booked after he got him booked after 9 minutes from rolling around. And he might have put one on him a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as the reaction.
Yeah.
And ref hook, line and sinker fell for it. The ref was poor yesterday, by the way. Had no control of the game.
I got that impression, like I said. I was listening to the commentary initially on iFollow, and then put the radio on when I was in the car, and the guys on Radio Lancashire were saying basically that the refs ruined the game, just pulling up and blowing up for anything and everything that he could.
There was an occasion we were breaking free about 5 minutes to go, and the number 4, I think, the other centre half, one got a head injury and blood on his shirt, which you can't really complain at him from going down on. But there's another occasion he's just sat in the centre circle. We were on a break. We're probably 4v3.
Yeah.
And refs blown up, no head injury, and it's like, well, come on, you've got to have a bit of consistency.
Yeah.
But no, he spoiled what could have been a decent game, but it wasn't really a bad foul during the game, though, apart from Pearson's booking, which, to be fair, he took one for the team with his booking yesterday. You can't really complain about his booking.
Yeah, because
he's nailed him, and fair play to him, to be fair, because if he'd got through that, then we could have been right in it.
Yeah, I think just on that Pearson thing as well, we're over a quarter of the way into the season now, and he's not been missing for any games through suspension.
It's in your notes, isn't it, Jimmy, that he's on his 4th now?
Yeah, it's his 4th now, isn't it?
Someone mentioned coming out of the ground that that's his 5th booking. He's missing for Saturday, and I was like, but obviously he's not missing for Tuesday. Sorry, but obviously it was only his 4th, so he probably will be missing for Saturday because he'll probably get booking Tuesday night. But yeah, what can we do? It was a funny one yesterday. I mean, we have had chances. I mean, I know they're not on any of the highlights I've seen, but there's at least 2 in the first half. There's one that is on the highlights of Barkhuizen trying to chest the ball down for some bizarre reason. But he had a chance just before that, and it's just got caught under his feet.
Yeah. And is it the one that ended up sort of toe poking at the keeper?
Yeah, it was. And to be fair, that's a chance. And for somebody that's got this clinical edge about him, as I think we've been talking about in the press, and
it's funny because we mentioned it, didn't we, Dan, a couple of weeks ago?
I made a very pointed tweet about it the day before, on Friday afternoon actually, and it seems to have come back to bite me somewhat.
Shit happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make him any less of a finisher.
No,
the stats are there. He's still a very reliable goal scorer. It just wasn't his day.
Yeah, he's had a good season, to be fair, with his finishing, so can't really knock him for that.
Arguably being played out of position as well.
Yeah, can't really disagree. I mean, Nugent yesterday was isolated, so you can't really slate Nugent too much yesterday because he got no service, got no help. He was and he was up against 3 centre halves, so I don't know why. He's 34 years old. We can't expect him to work miracles. But for me yesterday, I mean, we've had 2 weeks to set up for a game, and that performance yesterday was just not good enough. No. And I think the manager said it himself. I said at half time, I said we look disjointed, and I got called negative by someone on Twitter. I don't have a clue who it is, but it was true. We couldn't keep hold of the ball. We had 5 minutes in that first 5 minutes where we did all right with the ball, but after that, I don't think we strung 5, 6, 7 passes together all game, and we're used to keeping the ball really well. And that comes from the back usually. You're usually playing it across your back 4, and then obviously using your your midfielders dropping off, and then obviously creating space for them front 3. But we just didn't do that yesterday. I just thought we were poor from front to back. The goal we've conceded, I mean, as I think everyone spoke about, is we've got a free kick 30 yards from goal, 96th minute of the game, and we've still lost the game 1-0. I just don't understand it. It's a poor delivery by Harrop. We've had a corner a couple of minutes before that as well, actually. DJ's not beat the first man. So come on, it's like
simple stuff at that point in the game.
And especially when there was always going to be a chance to win it for either side, and we've had 2 chances and not done anything with them, and then Reading get that one. It's a pot shot that we'll come on to it in a bit. He's probably. I don't think he's done that bad with the first attempt, to be fair, because it's he's pushed it away. Yeah, he's probably pushed it into
a bad area.
Yeah, but the second shot, let's let his wrists, forgive the pun with him being, what he is, but it's just not right, is it? It's like you can't do that, and it's how many times you can keep doing that for us. But
we'll come on to that later on in the pod.
Just my final thing is, I think Alex Neil's got caught out a little bit tactically yesterday. I've just listened to his post-match on Lancs, and he said he thought they'd set up differently to how the previous manager did, and obviously it was exactly the same as what they used to set up like.
Yeah.
And he's not usually getting found out tactically, but he's got caught out yesterday, and that's unlike him.
Yeah, in my match preview, when obviously at the end of each preview they sort of predicted 11, and I had Nugent dropping out and going back to the front 3 of Harrop, Barkhuizen and Maguire, Johnson in behind, because I thought if on the off chance that they do stick with how they were playing previously, and they do have the back 3, as has sort of happened with Nugent, he's like you said, at 34 years old, he's going to struggle coming up against 3 centre backs, and when you've got the likes of Miazga and who's the other
Liam Moore is one
Liam
of the
Moore,
centre backs in the league.
You know, he's going to struggle. It's not like he's playing Barnsley again. Everyone knows how bad they were defensively. So yeah, I think I tend to agree with you on that one, Jimmy, that he has probably been caught out.
Yeah, I just think if he had gone with Harrop, because Harrop did look, he had plenty of energy about it when he came on.
He's done all right this season so far.
Yeah. He's not really had much chance either, has he? Really, he's not really had the chances that he'd probably be expecting to have.
But he still managed to somewhat justify his limited appearances with the goals that he scored and whatnot. So yeah, tough one, I think. I think he can count himself hard done by. But yeah, you mentioned it earlier on, Jimmy. The fullbacks. I think Hughes has obviously been out for, well, I'd say probably the majority of the season so far. Fisher's not played for a few weeks with his suspension, and then obviously going into the international break. Should maybe Neil have kept faith in Rafferty, someone that, okay, he's got his drawbacks, but find me a right fullback who's playing at left fullback that doesn't have his drawbacks. But he's been fairly consistent. You know, you look at our record with him in the team. Was it maybe a little bit harsh to drop him straight away, bring Hughes back in, considering the amount of time Hughes has been out?
Yeah, I think it was harsh. I'd definitely have been tempted to keep him in, because I think my main reason for saying that is a lot of managers say they want to cultivate this atmosphere of like every place is up for grabs. There's always competition for places. But I mean, if Hughes is just drafted straight back in as soon as he's past fit again, I'm just worried that there's not really any reward for the effort Rafferty's put in.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I suppose when I saw the team, I thought that's our strongest 11.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's a bit harsh on Rafferty. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk on the stand yesterday, like what's actually been done to be left out. But personally, I can see why you'd put your first choice left back in. You know, but neither of them helped themselves yesterday. You know, either of the fullbacks. You know,
I get that about putting your first choice left back in, but there's still loads of games to play, and I think obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But I don't think Neil would have been too critiqued if he'd have gone with Rafferty and maybe, you know, given maybe Darnell a rest with 10-15 to go, move Rafferty over, bring Hughes on, give him 10-15, 20 minutes at the end of the game just to get his eye in and go from there. But yeah, I don't think many would argue or disagree that the team we started with yesterday, barring maybe Nugent out the squad and Harrop in, is probably our strongest 11.
Hughes probably gives you a bit of balance, which, you know, I suppose Alex Neil probably likes his team to, you know, a natural left foot at left back.
Yeah.
Especially, was it Mighty, whatever his name is, lad? Yeah, he looked lively, you know, and to be fair, he got past Hughes a couple of times yesterday. I think that's the thing I like about Rafferty, because he jockeys and he jockeys.
Yeah,
and obviously he tries to put them on his good side.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I think
tough one.
And neither of the fullbacks yesterday came out with any credit. You know, I think, you know, someone put on Twitter before, you might as well put Alan Brown at right back. You know, because Darnell is worst game I've seen Darnell have in a long time. And Hughes usually steady, but you know, he just slowed everything down. So every time he got the ball, he just flat-footed. He got caught in possession. There was an incident in the first half where him and Maguire just miscommunicated, and they've both left the ball and they've counted on the back of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it just looked completely off the pace. It looked like, you know, I know we've had these bounce games, but it looks like he's not actually taken anything from them.
Yeah. Other than just minutes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafferty back in Tuesday, personally.
No, I wouldn't. I think, well, that leads us on to, unless Dan, have you got anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I'm like you. I've not seen much else other than the goal.
No, I've just had one of them weekends this weekend. So just last point then before we go to a break. Jaden Stockley came on again, and by all accounts, again, like I said, I've not seen anything, but by all accounts, didn't really affect the game that much.
We changed shape when he came on. We went 4-1-4-1 with Pearson Holder and him up front on his own. And to be fair, he got a shot on target, which is,
more than
he usually does. But no, to be fair to him yesterday, he worked quite hard, but he was quite had a bit of an aggressive streak in him. I think I mentioned that last time I was on the pod.
Yeah.
He seems to have this. I don't know. I didn't see him as being that aggressive of a target man, but just didn't win much yesterday. He can work hard, but I just don't think it's going to work out for me, unfortunately.
I don't.
I think we've mentioned before on the pod that we'd like to see him be a little bit more in their faces, somewhat.
The issue yesterday was the referee wouldn't allow any of that. So and I think he's gone up for the header. Their lad's headed his head and cut himself, but. Yeah, I just can't see it working out for him, unfortunately. And
I honestly don't see where he goes from here now. Barring some unfortunate injuries to the rest of our forwards, I don't see where he gets a chance.
Where's Andre Green, by the way?
Well, yeah, another good point. Not been anywhere near the squad.
It's like Brandon Barker all over again, isn't it?
I'd go as far as saying it's probably a bit worse than that. I think Barker was, until he was injured, especially early stages of last season, he was sort of always in and around the subs bench.
Yeah, he was with his injuries, Barker. He broke his hamstring twice, and I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a funny one, really. He's not played since Forest away. He came on for the last 5-6 minutes. Yeah. He's just been missing since. It's a bit of a strange one.
Very. I wouldn't be against maybe. I suppose if he's here and he's settled, then you can't say no to having an extra body. But if he did end up going back to Villa in January, I don't think it'd be a massive shock.
I don't think Villa would want him here, personally.
No, I mean,
if
another club came in for him on loan and Villa looked at it and thought, well, he's not getting many minutes at North End. I don't know. It's one of them. Who knows what's gone on behind the scenes.
Well, I thought when he joined us, he wasn't exactly a world beater at Pompey last year, was he? And I thought, is that really going to be the sort of signing that makes an impact?
He could have, to be fair.
He never seemed the type for me.
Even I think when he was obviously Villa recalled him in January, didn't they, last year? Because was it because of injuries or something?
I think so, yeah.
And I think did he score 1 goal and get 1 assist in half season for Villa? Something like that. Not exactly a record to get excited about, if you will. But
is it a strong Villa team as well?
Yeah, I think Stockley's a tough one. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Pardon me. Oh Jesus, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out on loan in January, go to a League One side or a League Two side, get playing again, get his mojo back a little bit.
It depends what we bring in as well.
Well, if we bring in.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, we have this record, don't we, of having a very quiet January if we're quote unquote on target and not having a horror show of a season. We usually don't make a great deal of investment in the January, and strikers cost money. And I just think Stockley will probably end up being.
I'm not sure if we can have 2 transfer windows when we've not invested in a row, or not invested in the actual starting 11.
Yeah,
I think that could be a bit of an issue. I mean, I've mentioned somewhere else on my notes, but where the hell's Tom Bayliss? Where the hell is he? I mean, is he just not good enough? What's the script?
Again, another odd one. He's looked okay in the cup games that I've seen, but I wouldn't say anything more than that, really.
He's played twice. We've paid good money for him. He's played twice. We were crying out for a left back and a keeper in the window, and a striker to some degree as well. And we signed a centre midfielder that we've on good,
Just
good money, and he's just not getting anywhere in the team.
Mm. Yeah, it's an odd one. I'm going to go down the lines of I think he's probably not quite ready yet.
Yeah, because he's still only 20.
He looked raw in the games I've seen.
Yeah, he looked okay against Bradford. And like you said, probably you could tell his youth and whatnot against Hull in that game. Yeah, flashes in the whole game, but nothing more really. But yeah, I think we'll call that part one, boys. Cool. I'll go and grab a brew, come back, and we'll crack on.
I find it really hard to think of anything to say because I just didn't watch the game.
Yeah. To be honest, mate, there's nothing much you can say about the game because it was shite.
Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the From the Finney podcast. In this part of the pod, we'll talk about Nugent's performance up against the back three, Rudd costing us again, shock, and we'll also look ahead to a home doubleheader with Leeds on Tuesday and Blackburn Rovers at home on Saturday. So yeah, David Nugent. As I've said before, I've not watched the full 90 back. I know Ollie's been quite stout, I would say. Would you say that, Dan? In his opinions of Nuge after yesterday.
It depends how much trouble you want to get Ollie in, really.
I think it depends how much trouble I want to get in with Ollie.
Yeah.
More to the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm not a fan of Nuge, but at the same time, I don't think he's the answer. And as we've mentioned in the first part with Stockley, for me, it just emphasises the need for another forward to come in January. Nugent's obviously going to have his good days and his bad days. See Barnsley, and then obviously no further than Reading for the bad days. But
felt sorry for him yesterday.
Pardon?
Felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, cut him a bit of slack. He's obviously going to struggle a bit coming up against the back three at his age, and a big back three at that.
Very much isolated. I mean, the two lads playing off him were playing that wide that they couldn't support him. DJ wasn't anywhere near him. Yeah. So it's he's had that chance second half with the header. And I mean, to be fair, if you watch the move back, he's actually started the move by dropping off deep. I think he's played it to Pearson, or we've built it up, but his timing's great for the header. It's just it's anywhere but down the keeper's throat.
Yeah.
You can't knock him. It's great timing for the header as well. I mean, if you watch his run, his arc it's perfect. Yeah. It's just literally don't put it down the keeper's throat, and it's a good.
That's exactly what he's goal.
We mentioned a couple of pods ago actually that Nugent, his experience in the Premier League is going to be vital to whether he can be impactful for us. Because his movement, like you said, for that chance was very good, and that's the way he's going to get chances for us. He just needs to, like you said last week, Jake. He needs one just to get the monkey off his back.
Yeah, I think he scores that chance at home against Barnsley or the one at Reading, and I think we see a different player going forward.
When Hugo first came,
anyway.
Yeah. When Hugo first came, that was very similar. Just needed a bit. He just needed a couple of goals, and then they started flowing after that.
Yeah.
So he took a while, didn't he, Nugent? He got a couple in a few cup games.
Hugo, sorry.
Yeah. So it took him ages to start scoring in the league, but as soon as he started scoring, you just couldn't really stop him at that point.
No, and I think it was quite clear as well for Hugo when he came that he was our sort of cup striker.
Admittedly, obviously, the opposite ends of the careers. Hugo when he first came, he was very raw. But and Nuge probably come to the end of his career, unfortunately. But it's For me, I just felt sorry for him yesterday. It wasn't his sort of game, and I think Neil's got to look at take a bit of the flak for that, because obviously, if he knew they were going to play with 3 at the back, I don't think he'd have started him personally, because it's not his sort of game.
Yeah, like I said, I've not watched the game back. I'm hearing what Ollie said. I'm reading on some areas, like Facebook, Twitter, on the forum and stuff, that he didn't play well, and then in equal measure, I'm seeing, he's like you said, Jimmy, and I tend to agree with you. He's obviously going to struggle coming up against 3 big centre backs.
Yeah. Most people I've seen talk about it mentioned him being crowded out more than having a bad game, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we see him on Tuesday or not, it's another matter. It's going to be an interesting one, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's not seen much of Leeds. I know they're on TV every other week, but I've not seen much of Leeds this season.
No, I haven't really. I've heard a lot about them, that they keep possession, make loads of chances, but don't score a lot.
Mm-hmm. So they win 1-0 at the weekend.
Yeah.
Hey?
They won 1-0 at the weekend, didn't they? Was it Birmingham?
Yeah, Birmingham at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their record's better away from home this season, isn't it, I think, so far?
Yeah, they're picking up a lot of 1-0s at home. I think that was the 3rd or 4th, I think it was. Yeah, they're not scoring that many. I mean, at home especially. It'd be a funny game, I think, Tuesday. I generally no idea what to expect.
No,
we could turn up. We could do what we've done before. He's had them in today. He'll have them in tomorrow. They could have had an absolute pasting, and then they'll turn up and they'll just, they could blitz him. Or
last season.
Yeah, they could do that, or they could get an absolute pasting. I generally have no idea what to expect.
Come on to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Declan, I think, again, has cost us.
Yeah.
Like you said, Jimmy, it was getting to the point in the game where both teams looked like they were just happy with a 0-0. Neither team really wanted to win it, and then we've had 2 opportunities up there end of the pitch in 95th, 96th minute, and they've come down the other end and scored.
For me, I mean, he's made 3 probably regulation saves in the first half. He's made a couple of takes second half. He's not actually had that much to do in a game that's stand out. And I thought that, probably the kiss of death really, but I thought he was actually getting somewhere. And I think he's not. He's been cutting out the mistakes in general, especially the ones leading to goal chances. But it's just not good enough, unfortunately. That 97th minute of the game, whether it's pressure, whether it's, I don't know what it is, but we can't make those sort of mistakes. It's cost us a point. Luckily, it's not cost us. If we were in a winning position, he's made it. It's cost us 2. So I look at it in that way as well. That it's only cost us a point, but it's a point that could be really important at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think going back to the start of the season, obviously, I think it was a pretty well-known secret that we wanted to bring a new keeper in the summer. Obviously, it didn't happen. Then you go into the Millwall game. We've got 40 minutes on the board, 35 minutes on the board, and he's just an absolute howler, pretty much. So you're thinking, like, fucking hell, here we go again. And I think from then until maybe the Barnsley game, I think he's sort of improved a bit, booked his ideas up. Looked, like you said, Jimmy, looked like he was sort of getting somewhere. And then the Barnsley game, was it the Barnsley game? No, it was the Bristol City game, sorry.
Yeah.
The first one, I'm not right sure. I think he's just being a bit soft. The Bristol City player pushed DJ, who went into Rudd, and Rudd just went flat on his arse and
just watched the ball float over him.
Watched the ball go in. I mean, you don't know. Like, it's hard to judge force and whatnot off of video replay, but to me, it looked a bit soft. He could have maybe done a bit more.
But I mean, as we mentioned at the time, once you've gone down, he still probably had time to get back up again. But he sat there with his hands out, complaining to the referee.
He's tried to buy it, hasn't he? He's tried to buy the free kick. So
It's those things. I mean, the goal yesterday, I made a point that both of the quote unquote save that led to the chance, which then led to the goal. They're both camera dives. Like the first one, I think any goalkeeper worth his salt gathers it. If at the very minimum pushes it somewhere that's not straight out into the 6-yard box. And it's those types of mistakes that bother me probably even more than, I mean, obviously there's the infamous Birmingham incident, but it's the ones that are choices that bother me a little bit more. Because, like you said, Jake, whether it's the pressure of a situation that gets to him or something and affects his decision making, but it's just so unreliable.
Yeah, he's not the answer. Obviously, he's out of contract at the end of the season.
The issue for me is
Ripley's obviously not up to much because he's been here coming up to a year now, I think.
Yeah, in January.
Yeah, and
ironically, his best game for us was probably against City.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he just doesn't look the answer. Unfortunately, I mean, he had a good chance at the back end of last season to really cement his spot, and he completely blew it for me.
Yeah, he did. What was it? 6 goals conceded in 2 games.
Yeah.
By the way, Ripley's not the answer. Ripley's
just not the answer.
I mean, we don't sniff around keepers as much as we did in some, Christian Walton that went to Rovers, Muric obviously that fell to bits at Forest, and obviously they've got that other lad in now. You don't go actively searching for a goalkeeper if you believe in your number one.
No.
So for me, I think Neil knows that it's an issue, and I think that's why he's brought Gould in as well. And I'm never going to slate Cudworth because I think he's done a good job in the circumstances.
Yeah, I agree.
However, we do need a little bit of experience there as well. And if you can bring Cudworth on as a keeper coach, as well as being able to bring on our keepers as well, and we have got an issue with keepers. I mean, Hudson isn't going to be ready. Crow isn't good enough. He's been in the
squad now for what, 5 years?
He joined as he was a scholar, weren't he? So he's growing through the ranks. I mean, he's made one appearance when he came on at Leeds. Was it when Pickford got sent off?
Yeah. Under Grayson, yeah.
And I mean, he went on loan to Bury.
Excited about him because he made 1 save.
I think people got excited about him because he got called up to an England under-20 camp or something like that, and he was quite highly thought of at one point. Alan Kelly spoke highly of him. However, when he went on loan to Bury, I think he only played the JPT games. He played in a game away at Rangers in a friendly and they got beat 5-0, and a couple of goals were his fault. And that was his debut. I think it was the day after he signed for him.
Yeah.
And he just didn't look good enough. So I can't see that working out. Crow's obviously not good enough.
The less said about him, the better.
Yeah. So you've got 4 keepers, and the jury's out on all. The jury's out on at least 2. In terms of the first 2. The first 2 first teamers, and then the 2 backups are pretty much training ground keepers.
Yeah.
I think Maxwell's had his day as well.
He was our best keeper.
I don't agree with that.
He was solid for a season, Maxwell. And
he swept well, but he was eccentric, and he was eccentric at Fleetwood. And he was always he probably has more mistakes in him than Mudd does. Because it'd either be his kicking or he'd come for one and drop one like he did at Fulham. It was like.
We've had our best season under Neil with him in net, so
we've not conceded that many this season so far, have we?
I mean in terms of final position in the league, Neil's first season we finished 7th. Maxwell played pretty much the entire season, didn't he?
Did he swap him halfway through? Can't remember. It's 3 years ago. A lot's happened since then, but I'm pretty sure he swapped him halfway through.
I don't think he did because I remember Maxwell being at fault for what ultimately cost us finishing in the top 6, the Derby free kick at home that went under the wall and beat him at the near post. And that was, 10 games to go? 7 games to go, something like that.
Don't remember that game.
And obviously we ended up missing out on the playoffs by 1 point to Derby.
Oh, God, yeah.
I do remember that game because it went in his... it came
was
in from
front of
the
town,
Finney.
in front of the cop. Sorry.
Yeah, it came in from the Finney side, the ball,
Yeah.
didn't it? Yeah, I remember that.
Tom Lawrence, and it went under the wall and beat him at his near post.
Yeah, Wood played 16 times that season in the league, Maxwell 30. So Wood must have had a run at some point.
I think probably around Christmas, January time, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, he's obviously not coming back, is he?
I'd be very surprised.
I think actually Maxwell flattered to deceive sometimes because he was quite good at saving penalties. And that's what made me quite a big fan of him for a while until I started to cotton on to him not being very good. It's a little bit like little bit like how I was from the Finney's last holdout on Stockley. Because he pops up with important goals sometimes. Let's just ease up. But no.
Nope.
It's my problem, lads, is I'm too nice. I'm too forgiving.
I have to say, since all this began, I've become a lot more cutthroat in terms of my cut-off point with players. I used to be a lot more like you, Dan.
Yeah.
And willing to give players more of a chance, but
no, I've gone the opposite direction. I was, probably the person who knows me best from when I used to be an absolute melt was Ollie
on Twitter.
On Twitter, I used to be horrendous, and like I was one of those people who like reacted to the Rotherham fans slating Fisher when he signed for us. I was like, oh no.
To be fair, when you went to Rotherham that season and you saw him get turned inside out by McGeady, I was a little bit on the fence. But he had a good game in the home game at Deepdale. I think it was about second or third last game of the season. He had a good game against McGeady.
Yeah, I thought he did all right.
It was a 1-1 draw that against Rotherham at home. That was when Stevie May scored, wasn't it? Last game of the season.
Yeah.
Yes. Stevie May.
Another waste of money. Yeah. So this week, two big games. We've got obviously Leeds at home on Tuesday night, Rovers at home on the Saturday. I think if you'd have given me 4 points from these three games, I'd have been happy, and I'd have probably said a win away at Reading, draw against Leeds, and then anything can happen against Rovers. Local derby. I think now, obviously, we've lost at Reading. These two games become even more important. I've said it in the past on here that if we're serious about going for the playoffs by sort of 20 points into the season, 20 games into the season, we need to have consolidated like a top 10 position. I think and look like we're comfortably up there to give ourselves the best opportunity in the second half of the season to have a run at something and give ourselves a bit of a platform to build from. And I think these next two games, that would obviously take us to 14 played, would it? I think we're on 12 now.
Yeah, we're on 12 at the moment.
So, 14 games into the season, I think if you can look at that and say, okay, we're in the top 10, quite maybe not comfortably, but thereabouts, maybe 3-4 points off the playoffs. I think at that point, then you can start to say, all right, we've got something going here. So I think personally, for me, these next two games are massive.
I think you could probably go one after as well and include Charlton in this batch of four. I sort of classed it as because Charlton again is exactly the same points as us, and Leeds as your two games that are going to be tough in terms of the teams that are in and around you.
Yeah,
Rovers obviously a derby, but not in great form. I think it's probably a good time to play them in a way.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one.
And then obviously, it's just a bit of a funny one. We should have got something yesterday. I mean, you can't get beat off a team in the bottom three, despite it being early on in the season. But after these next three, then you're a third of the way through the season. Then you're on 15 games.
Yeah.
So you can. I suppose it will start. I suppose being visible then in terms of who's going to be whereabouts, but it is really tight, the league. I think our team will probably run away with it, whether it be West Brom or Leeds. Probably West Brom the way they're playing. But then after that, I mean, I think from second to 11th at minute, there's 6 points separating it. And there's nothing in it really. So it's very tight, this league this season.
Well, from West Brom at the top to Bristol City in 9th, there's 5 points. Even Fulham in 10th, there's only 6 points.
And they got beat yesterday, didn't they, Bristol City? I mean, that's only their second defeat of the season. I think they're going to be top 6. Personally, I think they've got a lot about them this season.
Yeah.
But I think it's anyone's the other 3 spots for the top 6.
I think if we come out of these next 2 games with something, I think at the moment I'd take 2 draws, to be honest. I mean, I know a lot of people probably would disagree with me. 2 home games, but I would take 2 draws.
I'd definitely take a point from Leeds. I mean, I know it seems the obvious one to go for a point in, but yeah.
My thing with Rovers, like you said, Jimmy, they seem to be in a bit of a, I wouldn't say they're in bad form, but they're not particularly in scintillating form either. But the thing with games like that is that the players that full well the players are going to be up for it.
And you'd hope they are, wouldn't you? But I mean,
yeah, true.
Listening to Moby on the radio yesterday, it just didn't inspire me with any sort of confidence that they're going to do anything in the next couple of games. I mean, they've got a really tough game tomorrow, Tuesday night against Birmingham. So just wait and see with them. I mean, I won't be happy unless we put 6 past them personally. I can't stand them.
I would absolutely. Oh, I'm going to sound like Keegan.
I cannot stand them. So
I've got to go there tomorrow.
You've got what?
Got to go to Blackburn tomorrow.
Oh, that's unfortunate, mate. I drive past it every day. It's the best part of my day.
Make sure you have your jabs. But I mean, for me, these next 2 games are really important. Obviously, it's about obviously keeping the fans on side as well, because you come out these. If you win this in 3 games, then obviously that's gonna, the dissenters are going to start again, aren't they? And everyone's going to be like, I'm not paying my money to go on, blah blah blah. People don't need an excuse in Preston, unfortunately, not to go to Deepdale.
They absolutely do not.
I mean, there's a chance here. We play well Tuesday night, gets a few more on for Saturday. Gets people back through the gate, which is what we need at the end of the day, because without that, we can't complain about us not getting new signings in January if we're not getting people through the gate.
Oh, exactly. It's give and take, isn't it? Yeah, I think 2 big games. I just hope that we get, like you say, Jimmy, a few fans through the door. Give them something to go home with, whether it's a good performance and maybe a narrow defeat or a draw on Tuesday night, and then get the ground rocking and get it somewhat full again against Rovers on Saturday.
Yeah, I think this thing on the 2 home games, we've got to remember we're still unbeaten at home. We've won 5 out of 6 at home. We've scored the most goals in the league at home. We've still scored the most goals in the league in general. So there's still, for me, there is still plenty to be positive about. I mean, for me, I think 4 points would be acceptable from the next 2. Let's say 3. As a minimum. If you get less than 3 out of these next 2 games, I'll be a bit disappointed, to be honest. But why not? Why not take the game to these on Tuesday? At the end of the day, if we want to be up there at the end of the season, we've got to take it to teams like these 2.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think one thing's for certain, it's going to be a fun week as a North End fan.
Fun's a loose word, isn't it?
For all sorts of different reasons.
Let's see where we are this time next week, because I think the pitch will be a little bit clearer by then, one way or the other.
Yeah, I think it will.
I've mentioned a few times that we just seem to be waiting for the Championship table to split up a little bit, especially the top half.
Yeah.
I think this week could decide what side of that we're on.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely will, to be honest. A couple of defeats and we could see ourselves outside the top 10.
Yeah, quite undeservedly as well, considering the general start to the season.
Yeah, I've said it before in the past on some older pods that a few games to me have felt a bit weird this season, and that we've come out on the right side of them, but it never felt like we got going in them. If you know what I mean.
Birmingham.
what was there before that as well?
Sheffield Wednesday. Maybe.
Sheff Wednesday was the other one.
Yeah.
And I think even Brentford at home just kind of felt like we never really got in full flow, but still ended up on the right side. So
the Brentford one was particularly weird because we were really comfortable. It was just that Brentford has such a bad game.
Yeah.
That we looked like we were in full control.
And I think if you can go some way through the season picking up results like that, knowing that you can play better, then it bodes well, or at least on paper it should bode well. But yeah, I mean, let's just see what these next 2 games bring, and we'll see where we are come the end of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, cheers, boys. I think we'll call that a podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thanks for filling in for Ollie.
No worries.
Appreciate it. And cheers to you, Dan.
Thanks, Jake. It's been a good
No problem. Thanks for listening to episode 18 of the From the Finney podcast. We're now available pretty much everywhere that you can stream a podcast. So follow us or subscribe to us on there, whatever it is, and make sure you don't miss an episode. And a plug for our social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for From the Finney, and you'll find us on there. Just give us a follow. Trying to hit 1,000 followers on Twitter before New Year, Christmas. Yeah, Christmas. So yeah, I think we're at like 920 or something like that now. So a follow would be appreciated. And yeah, thanks again for listening. And cheers to you boys.
Thanks, Jake.
Cheers, mate.
No worries. Thank you very much.